Hello everyone, this is Genius Yoshi, and today we are talking about a steel ramp deck. And this is going to be a gameplay video, so I'm going to begin by showing you the cards of the deck, and then we're going to be playing some games against this deck, laying in the weeds right there, just waiting for us to play some cards. So let's get this deck list started. We are playing a steel ramp deck, so it includes some steel cards, the stuff that we want to ramp to, including Cerberus, the three-headed dog. Now, Cerberus is a 5/6 on which we have no other information than the 5 ink cost. So I'm going to assume that it's a vanilla creature that quests for 1, and that's the only thing that this thing does. Seems pretty reasonable considering we have Jumba Jakuba as a 4/5 with double lore value. So I think Cerberus has 5/6 that quest for 1 is reasonable. Then we have another powerhouse. We have the Beast. And the Beast is a 4/4 for 5, quest for 2. And when you play this character, you get to banish an item card. It's pretty good value if your opponent has any item in play. If your opponent doesn't have an item in play, it's still a big beater that you can ink early on and play later in the game. What else do we have in terms of big beaters that we want to ramp to? Now we have the Lion King himself, Simba, the returned king. So as opposed to the Return of the King, Simba is no ghost. He's a 4/6 challenger that becomes an 8/6 on the attack. And during my turn, he gets evasive, so he can challenge characters with evasive. So he's the perfect character to take out almost anything our opponent has that is exerted. He also quests for 2 to be a threat by himself. Now, since we are playing steel, we are going to be playing good old Captain Hook as the 4-drop 3/4 that allows us to pick back up, fire the cannons from the discard pile. Kind of an automatic inclusion in the steel deck. Fire the cannon dealing 2 damage to any character. So we have our top end of the ramp and Simba, Cerberus, and the Beast, all in 4 copies. 4 copies of Captain Hook, 4 copies of Fire the Cannon. Guess I can lay them down right here. And then in terms of more removal, we're going to be playing Smash. So Smash very simply just deals 3 damage to whatever character our opponent has in play. We're going to be playing 4 copies of Smash to smash our opponent. And then, well, we need some ramp cards. So this is the once you are ramped part of the deck, but we need to get there. And the best card to get there is Mr. Detective, Mickey Mouse. A 1/3 for 3 that cannot be put in the ink pool. Quests for only 1, so fairly poor stats, but when you play this character, you take the top card of your deck, bam, becomes an exerted ink that you'll be able to use next turn. Very powerful in terms of card advantage, also accelerates your ink. Very good for these things. We'll generate a bit of space here using our space generators. And we'll talk about the next ramping card, which is One Jump Ahead. One Jump Ahead is a song for 2 that allows you to put the top card of your deck into your ink pool. We'll only be playing 2 copies of One Jump Ahead because with 2 One Jump Aheads, 4 Mickeys, 4 hooks, and 4 fire to cannons, we are at a lot of cards that cannot go in the ink pool. And we don't want to have too many ramp cards as we're really stopping our curve at 5. And with the exception of Simba, that will eventually reach with the Mickey Mouses and One Jump Ahead. Then to round up the deck, we are playing 4 copies of Develop Your Brain as card selection that can be inked. So just look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put 1 in your hand and 1 on the bottom of your deck. We're going to be playing a Quatuor of Prince Eric's, a 1/3 that challenges as a 3/3, just to make sure that we stay alive, basically. So our early game is really just ramp, damage spells, and Prince Eric's. Then we still need 2 more cards to complete our 40-card deck. We're going to be playing 2 Coconut Baskets, mostly cards that we're going to be inking most games. But once we have these very solid, bulky threats in play, A coconut basket allows us to heal them with some of our smaller threats, or Captain Hook, Prince Eric, or just playing more bigger threats and healing our big guys. Now note that I'm playing this as a 40 card deck because only 30% of the set has been revealed so far, and I feel like if we're playing 60 card decks, we're going to have to dilute the strategy significantly. And I don't want to do that. I want to present coherent strategies, cool decks that are going to be more similar to what strategies are going to look like once the full set is revealed. Also note that I'm playing via proxies because, well, the set's not released yet. But once it does get released, please do encourage Disney and Lorcana by buying the actual cards to play with them. I know I surely will. And now let's get things started with a game. Alright, let's start with game 1. The black die is our opponent, the red die is us. 6-1, we get to go first. Let's see what we get. 7 cards. Eric, Beast, Smash, Cerberus, Eric, Captain Hook, and a Beast. So we have a lot of high-costed card. We don't really want too many Erics. We'd like a ramp spell. So I'm going to send back Hook, which doesn't seem too good. I'll keep the Erics, mostly because I don't want to draw the Eric late game. And I'll keep a Smash, and I'll keep a Cerberus. And I'll send the rest back. So that's an inkable card. Card that I want to play on turn 2. Some removal, some ramp into spell. And we draw, fire the cannons, and a pair of Develop Your Brain. Alright. That is fair enough. Hopefully those Develop Your Brains are going to help us to smooth out our hand and reach one of these ramp spells. So our hand is selected. What does our opponent draw? Opponent draws 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Friends on the other side, one of the best cards possible for the deck. The Facilier can hold the fort. Heedy is strong. Now the question is, does our opponent want a Facilier or a Lantern? Being on the draw, I think our opponent wants to keep the Facilier, sending Lantern back. Maximus is a good option to play with the friends on the other side, and I'd probably keep the Elsa and the Facilier just to ink. The hand is good, and you don't want to draw Facilier late game, so I would keep it just to ink it. I'll draw 2. A Jafar and an Elsa. Fair enough. The curves have been set. The hands have been drawn. Now let's move on to the next phase. The cards have been played. We go first. So first we will ink Prince Eric, knowing that I don't really want to play Prince Eric. Well, I don't want to play 2 Prince Erics. Bring us to 1 ink, and we will develop our brain, trying to find that ramp spell. Look at the top 2 cards of our deck, which are Mickey and Cerberus. We will take the Mickey, send Cerberus to the bottom. As we pass the turn back to our opponent, the opponent draws. Friends on the other side. Signature spell, opponent will do something similar, being the Facilier, avoiding the bad draw for the late game. And on 1, our opponent has nothing to do, so the turn passes back to us. We draw Cerberus. Yes, we're stacking Cerberuses. Now. So Mickey comes on 3. Our opponent's applying no pressure, but I still think that we want to play the Prince Eric, so we'll send Develop Your Brain. And we'll play Prince Eric to begin our board dominance. Prince Eric is on the battlefield as we pass the turn back to our opponent, who draws another friends on the other side. Now that's starting to be a bit too many of them, but there's no worry yet. Opponent will ink an Elsa and play Dr. Facilier, keeping our Prince Eric, well, not really in check, since Facilier is only going to challenge for 2 using his ability. of Challenger 2. Turn passes back to us. We draw a Beast. Beast is good. Beast is inkable. Now our opponent is applying no threat, and I'd rather keep the 5 drops than the smash. So I'm going to ink the smash, reaching 3 ink, and play the Mickey. Taking the top card into your ink pool, bringing us to 4 ink, one of which is exerted. So I'll keep it here for now. And Facilier can take out Eric. And if Facilier challenges Eric, we counter challenge to take it out. I think it's worth the 1 lore. The first quest of the game goes to us. We pass back to turn. Opponent draws Big Stitch. Too early for a Big Stitch. And our opponent is more interested in playing a 3-drop at this point. That's our Maximus. And there's too many friends on the other side, so I think... Nah, opponent Ink Stitch. Friends on the other sides are just too good. Friends, so important. Especially when they allow us to cheat by drawing 2 cards. Okay, it's not cheating. It's part of the rules. So with 3 ink, our opponent has, well, only one, well, opponent has a bunch of things he can play, but the play that makes sense is the Maximus, reducing the power of Prince Eric to 0, and Facilier gets a free hit, challenging Prince Eric and assigning 2 points of free damage. Turn passes back to us. We draw another Prince Eric, which will immediately go to the ink pool, bringing us to 5 ink. And with 5, we now have options. So we can play a Cerberus, which seems like a good play. The other option is Beast, but there's nothing to blow up. Then Eric's going to do his job and go challenge Facilier for the counter attack of 3 points of damage. No. I think Mickey challenges it. Yeah, Mickey will remove Facilier. Mickey does become weak to Maximus, but Maximus will want to take out our Prince. So we now have our Cerberus on board, passing turn to our opponent. Opponent draws a Lantern. Ooh, Lantern's disappointing. So now, what does the opponent want to do here? I think our opponent wants to ink a Friends on the other side. Going up to 4 to play Jafar. The 2/5 that threatens to challenge as a 5/5. Now what does Maximus do? Maximus probably wants to take out Eric, but now Cerberus is in play. The other option is to Friends on the other side, but then Eric gets to trade with Maximus, which is pretty terrible. So I think Maximus just challenges Eric. Takes it out. And takes 1 point of damage with the exchange. Turn passes back to us. We draw another Mickey. Actually, with this hand, we can either go Mickey, fire the cannons, take out the Maximus, and then we can quest with both creatures. And we have a bunch more ink for next turn, or we just apply more pressure and play another Cerberus. But then we can challenge Maximus with Cerberus, and Jafar can trade. And if Jafar goes for Mickey, Cerberus goes for Jafar. And we have another Cerberus. Alright. Take out the Maximus. I've convinced myself. Cerberus takes 3 points of damage. Mickey quests. A slow and steady threat. And with 5, Cerberus number 2 is going to enter the fray. Pass the turn back to our opponent. Opponent draws another Lantern. And that's why these lanterns are a bit of a problem. Because our opponent doesn't have much to play. Now Jafar really has the challenge. But our opponent does have some time. Time for what? It's tempting to just hardcast Friends on the other side here. The other option is to double Lantern, or Lantern into Elsa, then Elsa and Jafar can sing next turn, or Elsa can sing. And I think we just hardcast Friends on the other side. So 3 ink to draw 2. A Maleficent and a Hades. Opponent's behind on board, so Elsa doesn't really do much in this state. So Elsa's going to go to the ink. Opponent's on 5 with 2 available. And your opponent gets to play a Lantern for 2. And then Jafar is going to challenge Cerberus, trading with it. And the turn passes back to us. Now we're playing with open hands, and the Lantern was an awful play. But it's the play that used as much of our opponent's mana as possible, so without knowing what we have, it felt like the right play. And now we rejoice and play the Beast. Boom! Blow up the Lantern. And that really hurts our opponent. We quest for 2, because we are slow questing. And it's all about removing everything our opponent plays. Passing the turn back to your opponent. Opponent draws Be Our Guest. Be Our Guest is a little slow. Now, what can Hades fetch back? There's a Facilier, there's a Jafar, so probably the Jafar is what our opponent would want to get back. I think it's 2 for Lantern. Then play Hades. Using Lantern and 3 ink to get back Jafar. And that's the downside of our strategy. We are very slow questers. Our opponent can take their time, use card advantage to try and catch up. And let's sing Be Our Guest. Opponent doesn't really have that much time to sing it, and would much rather sing Friends on the other side. Turn goes back to us. We draw. Smashing. This does feel like the turn where we go Mickey Fire the Cannons. So Mickey getting us to 6 ink. 2 for 6, 2 for 6 on both sides. And that used 3. This one's exerted. Fire the Cannon to Hades. Taking out Hades via the power of the Boom Cannons. And we have one ink left. We quest for 4, bringing us to 8. Oh, and Hades hits the bin. And we'll pass the turn back to our opponent. Opponent draws a Maleficent. So the opponent can go Maleficent first. 1, 2, 3. Draws a card. Another Maleficent into Jafar. Just the strongest threat. All of the ink is used. And the opponent has to pass the turn back. We draw a Beast. Timely draw. We have 6 ink available. We might as well blow up that Lantern. Boom! Goodbye, Lantern. See you on the other slide. With the friends. So I guess on the other side. With the friends from our opponents that we keep on sending to the graveyard. So apparently the graveyard or discard pile is the other side. This creature has ink dryness. I don't overly care about the Mickeys going down. So I'm going to quest for 4. Slow questing, but 4 is a fairly fast clock as we reach 10 lore. Yeah, the Beast really has a strong effect. If you get to land it, you essentially have a 4/4 for questing 2 for 5 that's a +1 by removing one of your opponent's card. Very powerful when it lands, and when it doesn't land, it's slightly subpar. So overall, pretty decent card. Opponent draws a Maximus. So Maximus doesn't do that well here. So Maleficent's gonna sing Friends on the Other Side. Opponent draws 2 cards. A Jafar and a Hades. So I think the opponent just inks a Maleficent here, going up to 7 ink, and then plays 4 for an extra Jafar, and 3 for an extra Maleficent, keeping Maximus and its ability for next turn. Opponent draws a card off of the 3-drop Maleficent. The opponent just keeps on getting bad trades and is actually up on cards in hand. Now Jafar is going to go challenge my Beast and take it out since it's only a 4/4. And Jafar, the 4-drop, takes down our 5-drop and lives. And that's all our opponent can do. As the turn moves back to us, we draw a Prince Eric. We are on 6. Opponent is on 7. For 6, we can smash an Eric or we can play a Cerberus. We really want to take out that Jafar. So Mickey's going to take out Jafar, taking 2 points of damage. Mickey doing a lot of work this game. So he's given us 1 ink, he's giving us some lore, and he just took out Jafar. Lots of good stuff. And we're at 12, so I think we can just pressure our opponent. Quest for 3. Going up to 15. Let's just power through. Play another Cerberus. Big beaters. Even Jafar can't take it down. That's how big this Cerberus is. Now, once they actually reveal the card, there might be a slight downside to Cerberus. Or maybe he just doesn't quest at all. That would actually be a very interesting card effect. A 5/6 vanilla that doesn't quest. I mean, just gateskeep. He never goes on quest. And now our opponent's sitting at 7. 7 is good for a Hades and Maximus. Our opponent just wants to take out as many threats as possible. So Maleficent is going to go challenge this Mickey. Taking 1 point of damage. The other Maleficent can't really take out anything. Jafar can take out the Beast and then be vulnerable to the Cerberus, but maybe it's a Maximus targeting Cerberus, reducing its power. Then Jafar challenges Cerberus. Well, Maximus really doesn't do anything here. There's no point. I'll take that back. Let's instead play a Wardrobe and play Hades. With our 7 ink, fetching back a second copy of Maximus. Maybe there's something we can do next turn, or our opponent can do next turn with the double Maximuses. Jafar will take down the Beast and live to tell the story. Opponent still has 3 cards in hand, just trading everything. And Maleficent, I guess Maleficent can challenge Mickey so that one of the Maleficents can take it out next turn. but the lore clock is just very far in our favor. Our opponent's hoping to land an Elsa and just hold the board at this point. Can they do it? We draw Simba. Ouch. 3/6. Let's ink Eric. And play the King of the Jungle. Simba. Now I mostly want a quest, but Mickey's going to take out Jafar in a trade, because Jafar is a threat. And the Cerberuses will just quest, I think. Big Beater's got a quest. Taking out the Maleficent doesn't give us very much, and we just want to close out the game. Opponent draws another Elsa. Now our opponent is out of card draw engine, but still has a pair of Maximuses. Double Maximus, reduce Cerberus to a 1/6. Terrible, terrible stats. So Hades and the Wardrobe can take out Cerberus, taking only 1 point of damage each, which makes me kind of sad. But our opponent can't stop Simba from questing, and Cerberus. Cerberus just too big. So opponent quests for 2, passes the turn back. We ready, we quest, and reach 20. Our big Cerberuses managed to take the victory over our opponent's horde of card advantage than small cards. But we were pretty close to a turning point. If our opponent manages to land an Elsa, the sheer amount of cards our opponent has does start to become overwhelming. And the game can turn back into Elsa's favor quite quickly. But that's it for game 1. Let's move on to another one. Let's go with game number 2. This time we're gonna let the Amethyst Ember deck going first, since it's lost game 1. 7 cards, a pair of card drawing Maleficent, one Be Our Guest, a Lantern, a Jafar, a Maximus, and Elsa. There's a lot of 3-drops. So there's 4 3-drops in this hand, which is slightly subpar. I think this time we want to go Lantern into Jafar, especially since we're on the play. Maybe use Elsa's ability. Be Our Guest is okay. Actually, a lot of these cards are inkable, so maybe we just keep it like that. Actually, this is fine. I'll send 1 Maleficent back. Finding a Stitch. I don't know why, I just want to call it Twitch. Maybe it makes me twitch whenever I look at it, or whenever I think of how degenerate combos with it can be. Let's see what we draw. Simba, smash. Beast, smash. Fire the Cannon, Simba, 4, 5, 6. Prince Eric. So Fire the Cannon goes away. Prince Eric smash is good. Beast is good. I don't want the Simbas quite so early. So I'm going to send all of these back. 2 Simbas, a smash, and a Fire the Cannon. 4 back. We draw 4. Cerberus, Coconuts, Develop Your Brain, and the Prince Eric. Seems to be mild improvement over the original hand. Alright, let's put the hands into hand positions. Opponent goes first. Opponent's going to ink Stitch, because they're not going to be playing it for quite some time. And there's nothing to play on 1, so turn passes back to us. Prince Eric. We do not need 3 Prince Erics. Well, most of them are going to go into our ink pool. Since we have it, we might as well develop our brains. Just looking at the top 2 cards, putting 1 into our hand and the other into our discard pile. I really like 1 jump ahead here. since it's a ramp spell and we desperately needed a ramp spell. Turn passes back to your opponent. Opponent draws another lantern. Now the opponent needs to ink a 3-drop. It's going to be Maximus. And opponent plays a lantern on 2. Turn passes back to us. We drop Mickey Mouse, the 3-drop. And now I'm going to be playing Prince Eric for 2, inking Prince Eric. All the Erics end up in the ink pool, except this one, because I need this one to sing 1 jump ahead. Turn passes back. Opponent draws another Maximus, as if fated to hit 1. Elsa with Maximus is kind of a nice combo, so Be Our Guest is going to go to the ink pool. Opponent's now at 3 with the lantern 4. Plays Jafar, controlling the board. And it's back to steal a ramp. Have a pair of Mickeys. Kind of want to sing with Prince Eric, but then Jafar is going to eat it for free. And we're at 2 ink. I think I want to ink that coconut basket, since it provides no immediate value. And we're going to be playing a Mickey, which allows us to ink a card, bringing us to 4. Of course, exerting all of that ink for now. Next turn I can just ink a card from my hand. Or maybe I can use Smash Mickey. So if I 1 jump ahead now, with Eric, Jafar challenges, Mickey challenges, and we can smash Jafar. That might be a good plan. Let's go 1 jump ahead. Prince Eric has sung. Top card goes to the ink pool, and we're at 5 ink. Heavy ramp going on. Heavy ramp. Turn passes back. Opponent draws Hades. The king of card advantage, as is the main team of that deck. So I think there's no hesitation here from our opponent's point of view. Just take out the Prince Eric. Then what do they cast? Another lantern, ink a card. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, so Jafar takes out Eric. Takes 1 point of damage in the process. But Eric hits the bin thanks to Jafar's challenger ability. Opponent has 4 inks for a creature. The other option is use 2 for the lantern. Double lantern. Yeah, double lantern for a 3-drop. Go in with Elsa. Turn passes back to us. So our opponent just wants to establish control, not that they have a stronger threat. Let our coconut basket, not what we're looking for. So we're gonna ink it, I think. So we want to challenge and smash, but we need to ink something if we are going to be playing the Mickey. Or maybe we just play the coconut basket, setting up some healing. Let's try it. I've never played coconut basket. Let's see what it's going to do in this game. Alright, Mickey challenges Jafar, takes 2 points of damage. Jafar takes 1 point of damage. We go boom, smash Jafar, smash to the head, 3 points of damage, taking it out. Then we'll use our remaining ink to play Coconut Basket. So Coconut Basket allows us to heal a character by 2 whenever we play a character. which we cannot this turn, since we've used all our mana. Ink. Turn goes back to your opponent. Opponent draws an Elsa. Opponent has functionally 5 ink. Opponent plays a Maleficent. Draws a card. A Jafar. An Elsa. That is tempting. Now, how many? Yeah, I think the opponent wants to ink Elsa. And try to get more pressure on the board. Go in Maximus, reduce Mickey to nothingness, and slam it with Elsa. Taking it out. So Maximus's ability to just reduce the power of a character by 2. And now Elsa's going to be the big threat next turn. But that's not now. Now's our turn. We draw Simba, King of the Jungle. Our opponent has the 2 lanterns, so maybe we can mess it up with the Beast, using our 5 ink to take out a lantern. Very good answer to lanterns, actually. If we were on the play, we would have taken out the lanterns very early. Our opponent would have been stuck. Back to our opponent's turn. Opponent draws friends on the other side. Maleficent will quickly sing friends on the other side. That's one of her main purposes in the deck. Just you play her to draw a card, put some pressure on the board, then you sing to draw more cards. Facilier and Jafar. Opponent definitely wants to play Jafar here. And can play a Facilier or Be Our Guest by sacrificing 1 card from their hand. Also, Maximus can sing Be Our Guest, which is another interesting thing. Or we can ink it. Facilier is interesting with Elsa, but knowing that we are playing a rampy deck, it's not the best thing to play. So I think opponent pays 4, plays Jafar, inks Facilier. Oh, actually, I should be paying with the lantern. Inks Facilier, reaching another 2 ink, and then plays Be Our Guest. Be Our Guest allows our opponent to look at the top 4 cards of the deck and put a character into their hand, which in this case is going to be Hades. Card advantage for days, and the rest go to the bottom, in any order, but we will never reach the bottom of the deck. And now, might as well quest for 1 with Maximus. 1-0 is the score. Turn passes back to us. Draw Cerberus. Well, we'll definitely want to play Cerberus. It's time to do some damage. Beast. Challenge Maximus. Bam. Taking it out. Out of service you go, Maximus. 3 points of damage on the Beast. We play Cerberus. Coconut Basket triggers. We get to heal 2 points of damage off of the Beast. And we have our big old 5/6 on the board, threatening our opponent yet again. And we pass the turn back. Opponent draws. Friends on the other side. I think Maleficent wants to sing. Maleficent sings. Sings friends on the other side, yet again. Draw 2. Lantern and a Maximus. Alright. So the opponent can reduce the power of a character. Also doesn't really want to quest. Is this another double Maximus scenario? I think so. So opponent will pay 4 for Hades. take a second Maximus from this card into their hand. And with the other 2 ink, we'll play the Lantern. Number 2. Since it can't be ink, might as well just cast it. Then Jafar can challenge the Beast. But then on this, yeah, Jafar will challenge the Beast. So Jafar takes out the Beast, taking 4 points of damage with the exchange. None of the same exchanges are happening as in game number 1. Jafar really being a threatening 5/5 on the challenge. Turn passes back to us. We draw Captain Hook, but we do not have Fire the Cannons in the discard pile. So the card is a little weak for now. Now we use Cerberus, challenging Jafar, taking it out and taking 2 points of damage in the exchange, which we will immediately heal by playing a second copy of Cerberus, thanks to our coconut basket. Then we'll pass the turn back to our opponent. Now sitting pretty with 2 lanterns and 5 ink. Readying and drawing another Facilier. His opponent has access to 7 ink, 5 combat power. I think the opponent just goes 6. 6 for double Maximus, reducing Cerberus to 1 point of combat damage. Opponent challenges with Hades, takes 1. 3 to Cerberus. With Maleficent, Maleficent takes 1. 2 to Cerberus. And unfortunately Elsa has to challenge Cerberus. Elsa takes 1. Finally taking out the doorkeeper of the underworld. As the turn passes back to us, we draw Mickey. And we are slightly out of threats now. And we are in the very awkward position where we can't ink any of our Mickeys or our Captain Hook. So Cerberus is going to take out Elsa, because Elsa's a big threat, taking 2 points of damage. We will play Mickey Mouse for 3, inking top card of our deck, and then healing Cerberus, thanks to the coconut basket. We're healing often, but it's not having that big of an impact, really. And then we can ink a Simba, but we really don't want to ink a Simba. We want to play it. So I guess we pass the turn back. Opponent readies. Now opponent draws. Friends on the other side. Maleficent will sing. Draw 2. Cards, cards, cards. You can never have too many of those. 2 lanterns, 2 ink for another Jafar. And 3 for another Elsa. Opponent is controlling everything. Hades and a Maximus are going to go and trade with our Cerberus, dealing 6 points of damage and taking ouchies in exchange. And the opponent's still up on the board. Then Maximus will quest. Quest for 1. Turn passes back to us. We draw. Cerberus. We're on 6. The Cerberus do enough. So Mickey's going to challenge Maleficent. She's been singing too much. Yeah, I think we just need to hardcast the Cerberus here. Otherwise, Elsa's going to take over the entire game, which she will anyways. We'll pause the turn back. One draws. Stitch. Ooh, that's a nail in our coffin. Our opponent doesn't have quite enough to just wipe out everything on our board. Actually, Cerberus should have healed Mickey. Forgot about the trigger. So I guess Maximus just takes out Mickey. And the opponent just adds more pressure, more stuff. 1-2 for a Facilier. 1, 2, 3, 4 for a Hades. Bring back Hades, ensuring the continuous loop of threats. Then turn passes back to us. We draw Smash. Alright, now that's interesting. We get to play our Mickey. And Mickey's gonna get us one more ink. So we'll finally get to play Simba next turn. Now Cerberus gets the challenge. Well, I challenge Maximus first. Play 3, then play the Mickey. Healing 2 off of Cerberus. Now in tournament play, do remember to play these cards in the right order, because their opponent will not be as lenient as I am, and they shouldn't be. And I'll smash Elsa, because Elsa is big trouble. 3 damage to the face. Poor character has to go back home. We pass the turn back. One draws. Maleficent. So now Jafar is going to take out Cerberus. Opponent's going to quest for 2. Because winning the game is done by questing. Even though there's a ton of combat that's been happening. It's really because the 2 decks are more control-ish in terms of nature. Then we go 3 for Maleficent. No, actually, our opponent's good ahead. Good enough board position. Let's play the threat, Stitch. And opponent will pass the turn back. We draw. Another Cerberus. Mickey doesn't have very much to do here. So what do we do? What do we do? We Simba, I guess. Do we quest with Mickey? Quest with Mickey. Don't have anything much else to do with it. Play big Simba threat. 7 drop. 4/6. Alright, that's everything we can do this turn. Pass the turn back. Opponent draws. Hades. That's a lot of Hadeses. So Hades is going to go challenge Mickey, take 1 point of damage and take it out. Opponent's going to pay 4 for Hades. Number 2. It's going to go fetch Elsa, Queen of Cold, and play the Snow Queen. Then our opponent can quest with everything. I guess our opponent doesn't care that much if Stitch dies. And if we challenge Facilier, the opponent doesn't care either. Quest for 5. When you have enough stuff and you're ahead enough on board, it doesn't really matter. Turn goes back to us. Can we come back? Can we stage a comeback? Well, let's develop our brains and find out. Starts with a fire to cannon. So Beast or Hook. Beast is better at this point. Simba is going to go and challenge Stitch into oblivion, taking 3 points of damage. Then we will play a Cerberus, healing 2 points of damage off of our Lion King, and we'll pass the turn back. One draws. Wardrobe. Now on 6, opponent is going to challenge it with Facilier and Hades. Both going to the bin with Facilier's ability. As I forgot to show the Lion King as a 4/6, but his reign was very short. And now our opponent gets to use Elsa to exert Cerberus. I want to show Elsa here. Elsa, Snow Queen, Queen of Control. And Hades and Maximus are going to go trade with the Cerberus. Everything dies. Then the opponent plays a Hades for 4. Getting back a Hades. And playing a Wardrobe for more pressure. And that completes their turn. Turn goes back to us. We draw 1 jump ahead. Well, that's 1 jump behind, but we're going to be playing a Beast. Taking down the Lantern. Slowing down our opponent ever so slightly. Then we're going to go 1 jump ahead, which is going to take top card into our ink pool. Bringing us to 8 ink, with which we can't really play anything. Pass the turn back to our opponent. Opponent draws a Maleficent. Now opponent's stuck on 6. So Elsa will freeze the Beast. And our opponent is going to go and trade with Hades and the Wardrobe, taking out the Beast. Playing a Maleficent first. Drawing a card. The Facilier. Might as well ink the Facilier. As we're taking down those lanterns, and with the 4 remaining, Hades for Hades. Turn passes back to us. We draw. Fire the cannons. Alright. Let's have some fun. Do you wipe out the creatures or wipe out the Elsa? I think Elsa's the biggest threat. So we fire the cannons at Elsa. 2 points of damage. 4 for Hook. Get back, fire the cannons. Fire the cannons yet again to Elsa to take her out. Fire the cannon, just a very simple deal 2 damage to any character. And Captain Hook allows us to bring it back from the discard pile. At least we're not facing an Elsa anymore. As we pass the turn back, opponent draws another Hades. That card's just so good. Opponent plays Hades for 4. Gets back Elsa. Plays Elsa. And quests for 2. Going up to 11. Control at its finest, really. Just keep on drawing cards. Keep on removing everything that we're putting into play. We draw. Simba. Probably the best, strongest top deck we have. Hook is going to go trade with Hades. Actually, take out Hades. Taking 3 points of damage. Simba heals Hook for 2. Thanks to the coconut basket. And Simba shall live a little longer this time. Passing turn back to your opponent. Opponent draws an Elsa. And the opponent only needs 9 lore at this point. So maybe there's some trickery your opponent can do with just questing. Let's keep on the control route. So, Hades challenges Hook, takes it out. Opponent plays a Hades. Gets back a Hades. Infinite loops at their finest. Opponent has 1 Elsa. So this Hades is played this turn. Maleficent will quest because whatever. She doesn't mind hitting the bin. And then there's 3 ink left on our opponent. There's a consideration for inking Elsa here. Or actually, let's ink Maleficent. So our opponent gets to Hades, pick up a Hades. And turn passes back. We draw. Another Simba. Simba, I'll take out Maleficent. Taking 2 points of damage. Healing 2 points of damage off of the top deck Simba. Passing the turn back. We want to have enough on the board so that Elsa and Infinite Hades doesn't just win the game. I think there's another Hades left. Yes, there is. So opponent will play 4. Hades for Hades. Holding on to this one. 3 for another copy of Elsa. Try and establish some kind of control. And we'll quest for 2 with the Hadeses that were not put on the battlefield this turn. Opponent goes to 14. Turn passes back to us. We draw. Hook. The draws, I tell you. The draws. Simbas are going to take out the 2 Hades, taking 3 points of damage each in the process. We play a hook for 4. We heal a Simba. We get a fire to cannon. We fire the cannon at the other Hades, just trying to gain some time. And we pass the turn back, and suddenly we are somewhat back into this game. Somewhat. Not very much, because our opponent only needs to quest for 6. And maybe your opponent just goes for the racing questing now. So 4 for Hades. Get back a Hades. They can quest for 5. We don't really have any way of preventing your opponent from questing, though. It's 4 for Hades. Pick up a Stitch. Then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Opponent passes the turn. We unexert. We draw. Fire the cannons. So many fire the cannons. Let's take out a Hades. Because why not? And quest for 5. We go to 6. Pass the turn. One draws. Opponent plays the Stitch for 6. 5, 6 for Stitch. And let's be our guest. Let's cast it. We have leftover ink. So let's just take a look at those top cards of the deck. There's a Maleficent, which I think our opponent wants, since our opponent just wants to quest. Our opponent has 5 cards left in their deck. So it's time to end this, because our opponent is running out of stuff. Opponent quests for 3. Going up to 17. And now, we are in trouble, because we can't stop Stitch from questing. Draw another fire to cannons. We fire the cannons at Hades, because this is about the 15th Hades we remove this game. And there's nothing we can do, because we can't stop Stitch. See? Stitch OP. Although the Hades did all the work. Alright, so let's just take out 2 Elsas, because we can. And even drawing like a man was not enough to take the game down. We quest for 8, but the end is all but inevitable as we pass a turn, and Stitch wins the rock concert and this game of Lorcana by questing. As we've just gotten back into the game after exhausting most of our opponent's deck out of resources, but the opponent managed to hold on to the board just long enough to take the win. I hope that you've enjoyed this gameplay video featuring the Steel Sapphire ramp deck shown here. Let me know which cards you would have liked to substitute and what they would have been substituted for in the comments below, as we can discuss deck building improvements. Also, if you've enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and go check out some of the Lorcana challenges that I have posted if you have not seen them yet. They're actually fun to develop your brain and just have some fun with Lorcana card effects. Again, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.